Ronald Reagan asked the question when he was running for president, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? And that was a winning question for him. If you ask whether we're better off than we were 40 years ago, which is the question I asked in my 2020 Irving Kristol lecture, you can't give a, you have to give a very qualified answer to that question. Because on the one hand, we won the Cold War. The Soviet communist threat was eliminated almost without bloodshed. The world headed into decades of unprecedented peace and prosperity. Dreamland also, but we can get to that later. And the United States was able to generate wealth in a way that no country in history had ever done before. I mean, if you look at private net worth today, on average, for a notional household of 4 people, it'd be over $1.5 million. I mean, sloshing in money. It's not evenly generated or evenly distributed, so that's another question altogether. So if you look at the headlines, this has been a time of unrivaled, not just success, but really triumph. But at the same time, it was almost as if the termites were eating at the foundations of this great American success. And some of the problems which we've already discussed, the men without work problem, was hiding in plain sight. The decay of the American family structure is no state secret. The relentless increase in welfare dependency for the population, which, among other things, I'd argue, so subversive of the notion of middle class, or the myth of the middle class. People looked at the decline in manufacturing as one of the causes of the crisis of the middle class. They never talk about the increase in accepting means-tested benefits as something that affects people's conceptions. Other things as well, I think, all were part of what I called in that lecture the rise of a new misery, as distinct from poverty, misery. And it's not foreordained that we should go through unending decline and increasing misery. I mean, this is the prospects for reversing this, I think, are very much at hand. We need to do things, and we already know what most of them are. We need to have a resurgence in productivity, because broad-based productivity and broad-based growth can provide the fuel that can help eliminate this new misery. And that speaks to research, education, business dynamism, less sclerosis in economic affairs. But it can't all be in the sort of the it can't all be a sort of a simplistic libertarian pill for people to take. the rot in the family is the central unit of society is terribly corrosive. Government isn't very good at addressing that. The question of immigration is something that government can perhaps address, although it hasn't done a very good job for most of my lifetime. The enthusiasm and confidence and courage to deal with these problems depend upon our civil society. I think not so much on our government. And although I don't think I emphasized this in my lecture, I certainly did say that this may be something which another great awakening could make a great difference in addressing. The thing about great awakenings is that you can't summon them. They're kind of they're there from a higher power, or certainly from a power beyond the reach of the state. But so it's certainly very much within our grasp to revitalize the United States. And I have a feeling that such a revitalization is largely going to come from the bottom up rather than from the elites down.